What's going on, everybody? I'm Patrick from POWLAX and welcome to the POWLAX backyard. In this video, we're going to be talking about switching hands. This is the POWLAX backyard, where I'll be teaching techniques and how to fix common mistakes by showing you ways to improve your game at home. Before we get started, I'd like to thank all of the POWLAX members whose generous contributions make these videos possible. We believe that the best way to improve and grow the lacrosse landscape is by educating players, parents, and coaches with the information they need to be successful so they can enjoy the sport. That's why all of the POWLAX videos are free to watch anytime, anywhere. If you enjoy the POWLAX content and want to help contribute to their creation, consider becoming a member at POWLAX.com. For just $5 a month, you gain access to the entire POWLAX playbook, a series of PDFs that accompany all the POWLAX videos. Once again, thank you to all of the POWLAX members. Now let's get back to the video. In lacrosse, the main reason why we want to switch hands is in order to protect our stick. Now, one of the common coaching points you're going to hear is sticks to the outside. And what that basically means is that when we're throwing the ball around the field, we want to have our sticks to the outside because the defensemen are defending the center of the field near the goal. And so if our stick is to the outside, we can use our body to protect ourselves from any defenseman. Now, if I'm running this direction, I'm good to go left-handed. But if I roll back and I come this way, I need to be right-handed. And now this exchange where I am switching hands in this way, I always want to be protecting my stick. Now, the other way that we are going to be switching hands is if we are dodging at someone. So if I'm dodging at a defender and now I want to be able to go left or right, if I go right, I don't have to switch hands. But if I go left, I need to be able to switch hands. Now, I'm a firm believer in the fact that we want to be able to do basic things like cradling, passing, catching, shooting with both hands because it will serve us in specific instances. So it's not to say that you can't do things one-handed. There's a lot of box players that do things one-handed. I just believe that you have a better percentage chance of doing it well if you are using the correct hand and it's, 80% proficient. But so if I'm dodging this player and I want to go left, it is possible to face dodge over like this, protect my stick, move here, and then be able to throw passes and things. But I definitely believe that if I'm trying to throw a 20-yard shovel pass, I'd be more efficient by throwing it overhand left-handed than I would be staying right-handed. Now, there are a ton of ways to switch hands, and they all have their specific purposes and can be used in specific instances. For instance, I can throw my hand from one hand to the other. I can do this little twirl where I switch hands. I can go behind the back. I could even do a swim move. But when we're learning the game, the two ways we really want to master are what we mentioned earlier, which is dodging at a player, and then if I'm running with a player, rolling to protect my stick and keep it to the outside. Now, the first way of switching hands we're going to go over is that north-south dodge, and this is the same way we're going to switch hands if we're just sitting here kind of throwing around. Now, when I switch hands, the way that I want to do it so that I have the most control is to give my new top hand as much control and protection as possible. So we want to start in a vertical cradle like this. Now, my bottom hand is going to become kind of like a pocket or a holster that I'm going to throw the stick into. You can imagine a swordsman throwing their sword into their sheath. Now, once I'm here and I throw it down, now this puts my stick into a very well protected position and one where I can really control well because my hand is really high up on the stick. Now, once the stick is here, now I want to just pull my stick out, grab on with my other hand, and now I've switched hands. Now, another thing we want to add into this is kind of a step, because if I'm moving, if I choose to switch from this hand to this hand, I've chosen this direction to protect my stick against the defenseman. Now, so most often when I make these moves, we're really just talking about switching hands, not really splitting yet, but when I make these moves, my left foot will probably come out as I switch, and now that's going to allow me to really protect and turn against any defenseman. Now we're going to cover some ways you can work on this skill at home. So the way that I like to teach players how to switch hands is by giving them a direct reference to something else. And so what I do is I ask them, who is Jack Sparrow? And someone in the group will say he's a pirate because they've seen Pirates of the Caribbean. And I'll say, well, when Jack Sparrow is done fighting with his sword, what does he do with it? And someone in the group will say, well, he puts it away, and they'll do this action. But it's going to give them a direct reference to exactly how we want them to begin switching hands. So then I'll have everybody get in a group. They'll start in their vertical cradle. They'll see their bottom hand as a sheath, and they'll throw it in the exact way we talked about earlier. Now they just pull it up, grab with their other hand, and now they've switched hands. Then we'll go back the other way. And so we'll practice just switching hands in this manner as many times as we would need to until we move on to the next drill. Now, the next drill that I like to do is one that my brother taught me right when I was learning how to play the sport. Now, what he would have me do is put my stick between my legs. Now, it's not recommended that you put your stick between your legs when you switch hands, but for this, we're just working on the hand exchange, so it's not that big of a deal. So, sticks between the legs, go out to either side. And now what we're gonna do is we're gonna throw the stick down, pull it out, and re-grab with our bottom hand as many times as we can in 10 seconds. And so we just switch, 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 switch as many times as we can, and we just work on exactly how we are throwing the stick down, letting go, grabbing on, pulling out, all of these different things so that we can really build the muscle memory of switching hands. The next way I like to train this way of switching hands is to make sure that we're incorporating a pass, because if I'm dodging against this player and I switch hands here, I don't just always want to keep my stick protected, I want to get my stick up ready to pass. So what we're going to do is we're going to come up like we're ready to pass, and then we're going to come down, switch hands, up to pass, switch hands, up to pass, switch hands, up to pass, switch hands. And by making those movements and getting used to the idea of coming up to pass and then switching hands, we're just refining our muscle memory of our hands, and we're building the ability to do it without thinking outside of game context. Now, the next way that we're going to talk about switching hands is when we are running with someone on the edge of the field. Now, if I'm running this direction and I want to move back that way without bringing my stick towards the defenseman, I want to keep my stick on the edge of the field and turn so that the stick stays where it is and it's actually my body that is turning. Now, as we walk this way, we'll go with kind of more of the mechanics of what we're going to do. So as I turn, I want to bring the stick across my face by leaving the stick where it is and turning my body. So I'm going to turn my body, bringing the stick across my face, and once I'm through the turn, I'm going to drive my bottom hand up, replace the top hand, grab with my other hand, and now I'm moving the other direction. Now, the key here is that it's not my stick that's really moving a lot, it's my body that's moving in relation to the stick. So now as I go back in this direction and I switch hands going the other way, I'm going to turn, switch after I've turned, and then continue to protect with my stick on the outside. So now when we get into the idea of roll dodges, there are some things with elbows coming up, really protecting the stick, but for now, all we want to worry about is the exchange and making sure that our stick stays to the outside and our bodies turn instead of having our sticks come to the middle. Now, the one mistake you're going to see quite a bit is that players are going to switch hands as they turn, exposing their stick here, then they're going to bring it, and they're often going to get checked as they're turning. Now we're going to cover some ways you can work on this skill at home. Now, if a player's having trouble with this, one of the ways I like to help them is by holding their stick in place while they turn around the stick. So if this is a parent or a coach, if they just hold on to the head of the stick, and now their player is going to be, say, right-handed, and you're going to say, okay, now switch to left without moving the stick. And so then they're going to have to drive their other hand up, switch, and move their body around the stick rather than moving their stick. Now, the next thing I like to do in order to train it is just to have, a cone here, cone there, or, just walk in a line back and forth, make sure my stick is away. I'm going to walk this way, switch, and then walk back and switch. And now I can film myself like I'm doing here. I could have a mirror there that I can see my reflection and I can see that, okay, you can't really see my stick as I'm making this exchange. And those are the ways that I would work on that type of switching hands. I hope this video has helped you get a better understanding of the game and how to practice at home. If you liked it, make sure to smash that like button, subscribe to the POWLAX YouTube channel, and follow POWLAX on social media. To watch and learn more, support the POWLAX mission, and download the PDFs that accompany all of the POWLAX videos, head to POWLAX.com. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.